guys, this is Ashley, the DM of Nat Awesome, and today during Ash's Topography, we are having a special guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Greg. I'm the Dungeon Master at TurboNerds. We stream every Thursday at 6:30 CST, and we're currently in the middle of our Out of the Abyss campaign. So like and check us out on Twitch.
It's a very interesting campaign to say the least. I had a lot of fun watching it the other day. I'm gonna go ahead and pull some packs for us to use. Get that all ready. Um, and yeah, so Greg and I were talking about doing. Oh, thank you for the follow. Um, doing like a beachfront battle. Um, I'm not quite sure if Greg is as into anime as much as I am, but there is always that one episode where they go to the beach, and god damn it, they will do that in D&D too. So
Yeah.
I thought that would be a fun way of just kind of exploring uh, and getting this all set up.
And as a DM, you always have that repertoire of ocean monsters that you never get to use because
Yeah,
nobody wants to go anywhere near the ocean in D&D.
you kind of have to like
Yeah.
lay the breadcrumbs for them, and
Yeah.
hopefully they'll go there. So would you say this is gonna be like a more tropical beach, or just like a West Coast beach, or trying to pick the right color for the water?
Let's do a tropical beach. This is
Okay.
a beach right next to a jungle, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So each of the small squares are 5 foot diameter. So I'm just zooming out to give us the bigger ocean area, and then we can fill in the actual land
Cool.
around that.
This is a really neat application. I played around with Arkenforge for a little bit. It's really dynamic in the different types of things you can add, and that was just on the free version. I'm sure with
Yeah.
the paid for version, it gets even better.
Oh, it is definitely really fun to use. I also started with the free version and decided to bump it up to an actual paid one. And I don't get tired of making my maps at all. Like it, I like to hide Easter eggs in it. Make things interactive. Like you have the ability to turn the light on for certain things and off. So if your character precipitates a spell to like turn off all the candles, you can actually do that in game. And that's something the players I've found have really enjoyed.
That's neat.
Okay. So what corner of the map? I have a really bad habit of always like putting the land like on this corner, but I mean we
Which
can.
corner? I was gonna say the lower left. Is that what you were suggesting?
I do the upper right corner down to the left
Okay.
corner, but I'm totally fine to do it the other way. I think that will be.
Yeah, let's reverse it.
Let's change it up a little bit.
Yep. We're on the north side of this island.
Okay. And I have a feeling it's gonna be mean to me, so I'm going to use this tool first, just to
And
kind of.
what's your favorite ocean beach type monster in D&D?
So my party actually started at a beachfront village, and they ran into oh god, what are the names of them? They have like the fish heads, but they're humanoid still. Um,
Kuatoa?
yes, and
Okay.
they also had like I gave them like little crab minions. But, well, I say little, but they were like giant crabs.
Okay.
So they were kind of like those were their pets, and they were using them to kind of go after the people that lived in the
Nice.
town.
Yeah, we actually had a Kuatoa encounter on my stream about 3 or 4 sessions ago where the party got captured by them, and then subsequently their little Kuatoa settlement got destroyed by the Demogorgon. But it was a really interesting encounter to have them. I always want to use the Kraken. I don't know if I ever get a party high enough level to play around with the Kraken though. But I think that'd
Yeah,
be a fun monster to use.
I agree. I think that would be fun, but like you said, it is really hard trying to find either the time, well, not the time, but the time's always there, but as people's lives change or as the characters' lives change, they could drop in and out of being part of the adventure and not. So I do also feel your struggle with
Yeah.
getting people to the high enough level. Though I am not against throwing a monster at my people that or my party that they cannot defeat. Sometimes they need that little reality check of sometimes it's okay to flee.
Yeah. My party tries to kill everything, regardless of whether they can beat it or not. And 9 times out of 10, they actually end up killing whatever I throw at them. So I think I might need to make my creatures stronger.
Well, and also with your channel, your viewers have some say in as far as like the speed that the party is leveling too. So I can imagine like
Yeah.
trying to like pre-plan a whole like session, and then all of a sudden your players get bumped up a level, and you're like, oh well,
Hmm.
there goes everything I had figured out.
Yeah. One thing I love about my channel is I like that the audience gets to interact with us by sending us health potions, raising us a level, or making us fight a dragon all of a sudden. Um, we're gonna try to add in more audience interaction because that's one of the parts that I think is fun and unique about Turbo Nerds.
I agree. We also have a couple things we do on our channel, and it not only gets me excited, but it gets the players excited too to
Yeah.
see that, the viewers are wanting to either help them, possibly hinder them, or even like find out that they might be the session's current favorite player. Maybe they did something really cool and the viewers wanted to honor that. Um,
Yeah.
so right now I'm just picking some grassy type texture for doing the inner part of the uh, jungle area.
Okay.
I was thinking it would kind of come up to the edge there.
And what were you thinking for in the water? Maybe some shipwreckage or
Yeah, we can totally do that. One of the packs that I have has some pre-built in broken ships, thankfully.
nice.
So that'll make that really easy to do. And I even figured out a really cool way to even make it look like the ships are sunken underneath the the waves a little bit. So we'll play around with that
Nice.
too. Right now I just want to blend this so it's not as harsh.
Okay.
I'm just affecting the transparency and the size of the brush as well. One thing that Arkenforge is working on doing, and you can kind of already do it right now, but it kind of doesn't like it so much. I use a stylist type pen to
Okay.
usually do these shading areas, but it's not fully supported, so you can't go back and forth between using the
Your
mouse
mouse and
and
the
the stylus
stylus.
pen. So you get stuck usually doing one or the other, and that can be a little tricky.
Okay. That does sound a little difficult.
And I do like doing this too because instead of having that harsh line, now we're able to like blend it
Blend
out.
it.
Yeah, so it's not that sharp. Like, oh, we're in the jungle now, and where did the sand go? Because everyone knows that you take sand with you everywhere.
So, what's currently going on in your campaign? Where are the players at?
So right now they have successfully just gotten their ship, and they have taken it back to Darford, which is kind of like the major smuggling town. It's the place you go if you want to get something off the black market. And there is an NPC in particular that runs everything. He's kind of like the Shadow King of it all.
Hmm.
His name is Cold Dune Dragon, but he's also more commonly known as the Golden Dragon. And they have just accepted a quest to go and help a I say quest, but it's really it was like a job offer that they got. They're going and helping to map out an island that nobody has ever seen before, and actually isn't that far away from. It's like a 5 day journey, if the winds are with them from the continent. So I kind of did a twist with that. It's probably not the type of island that people are imagining, just out there in the middle of the ocean. You wouldn't know that you have stumbled across it until, somebody told you, or you, in fact, were shipwrecked. So it'll be interesting for them to figure out where the island is, and help this NPC map out it. And this is also the entry to kind of starting to see who maybe the big bad evil guy is going to be for the campaign.
Nice. And you design all of your maps beforehand.
I do.
Uh,
Yeah, I definitely do. And I have no issue with having a stack of maps that I can always go to and pull from. I think it's better to have just like, you know, a couple maps ready to go that you can, and I try to do it where I don't put monsters in, when I make it during the live stream. I'll do
mhm.
that off camera, and also that way when I share it, my monsters aren't stuck on your map, and you don't have to worry about trying to cover them up. um, it's also that way you can just kind of, do it yourself. You can figure out what you want to put there.
Okay. And you guys don't stream on Roll20, do you? Or do you?
No, we don't. We just use Arkenforge for everything.
Okay.
I'm able to share my screen with them, in an area in here that's called scenario mode, and it allows me to have a separate screen where they can see that and still be the control master at the helm. So
Cool.
it's nice to be able to do that for sure.
Yeah, our first test stream, we used Fantasy Grounds, and people liked it, but I think the majority of us didn't. And so we made the swap over to Roll20. Um, I originally kickstarted Roll20 many years ago, helped pay for it
Hmm.
to come online, and I've had access ever since and just never used it. And one of our players in our game, Sophia, is amazing with Roll20, and she helped me get all the maps imported. She helped me get all the characters and players imported, and it's just been really smooth ever since. So I highly recommend Roll20. Everyone's probably used it or heard of it, but it's been pretty good for us so far.
Yeah, I was debating using it at first as well. And then the only thing for me was the monthly subscription. I'm kind of on a tighter budget right now, so for me it was just easier, to just pay for something once, and because I'm able to swap over to scenario mode and run everything, um, it just was easier for me.
Yeah. And is it just one lump payment for Arc and Forge?
So it's one lump payment for the base software that gives you some different aspects that you can use with it. But they also sell packs. Like right now, I have their Towns and City pack, which they just started working on. They also have another one. The Wilds is what it's called.
Hmm.
So they come out with different packs occasionally, and you're able to use all of that. And you're also able to import your own assets. So I like being able to do that, as I used to use Painter Studio, and was able to bring in a lot of things that I used to have there, or free assets that I had gotten from there, and I was also able to add them into Arkenforge.
Nice. Well, it seems like this is working for you, so that's what's most important.
Definitely, I think, and that's the other thing. It's like you'll find what works for you, and it's luckily you're able to try most of these out, and I highly encourage you to do so, because then you're able to see what's going to work for you.
Yeah, I will definitely give it a shot.
And I can
Uh,
also give you some links to good assets too.
oh, thank you so much. Are you adding in some palm trees, it looks like now?
Yeah, since we were going with kind
Nice.
of a tropical theme, I was just working on adjusting the different objects that we can add in. Um, And it looks like they changed that on me. So they are constantly changing the software, improving things. So sometimes they change things. uh, so I have to, when I go back in, I have to just refigure that out. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm moving this whole section up a layer. Oh, never mind. No, I'm not. Good old Control Z will fix that. Maybe. Uh,
Looks like it's working on something.
yep, it's trying to. Let's see. But the other thing is it has, oh, that's what I did. I split the
Zoomed out
layers
really
up.
far.
Yeah, well, and also I split up the layers. So I'm actually just going to reload the map from where
Okay.
we saved it last. And let's see. I think I'll have to quickly add one in. Let's see, open. Oh, let's open a different map and then we'll go back in.
All right.
um,
Well, that's happening. What's next for you guys after your current campaign? Are you planning on doing this to level 20 and beyond, or are you
so
planning on doing a new one?
what I did for this is I don't foresee my players getting to level 20 during the current campaign, but I made it so it's more of an open world so that
Hmm.
if they keep playing, they can discover other continents with their own campaigns. Because as far as what I've always thought of with um, leveling is that you go through different levels. First you're like a small town hero, and then you're like known in the major cities, then you're known all over the continent. And so for me, the next step up would be to be known on multiple continents.
Hmm.
So I just like to be able to have that open world experience, in order to build upon something I'm already homebrewing, because I didn't want it just to be like this one campaign. I wanted to flesh out this world as much as possible, and why not have one campaign bleed into the next, or have another campaign affect um, the current one they're on.
That's really awesome. I think I really like that way of thinking. We are currently doing one of the fifth edition modules, Out of the Abyss, and net. I think we're planning on doing it by season for us. Every season, we're gonna roll up new characters, and next season, we're planning on doing a um, Viking campaign. It's a book called Journey to Ragnarok that was on Patreon, and it ended up getting a huge amount of support. And one of our players, Wyatt, who's playing Lars the Barbarian, he picked it up for me. I looked it over, and I just love the setting. It's filled with Norse mythology, and if you've seen the show Vikings or anything,
Yep.
it's going to be basically like a D&D campaign ran in that. And I'm super excited to start it
That,
this fall.
that sounds really fun. Does it have any like ship mechanics in it? Because I'm always out looking for more ship mechanics, because um, the 50 ones are a good place to start, but I don't know. It's for me, I'm very narrative heavy, and like a lot, like I don't want it to be exactly like what it would be like on a ship, but I do at the same time. So I'm trying to find that balance
Yeah.
between um, it, not chugging along during the combat, because the party, it's kind of weird. So you take away their individual initiative, and it's the ship versus monster initiative, or ship versus ship initiative. So the
Hmm.
captains, or the captain and the monster, will roll initiative for the vessel and for themselves. And then for spellcasters that are on the ship, at least what I'm doing is they get to still have their independent turn if they didn't do an action that was related to the ship, like hoisting the sail, or manning a ballista. If they didn't do that, then they can still do a spell casting action. But it would go in terms of like hierarchy. So it would be captain, first mate, bosun, and they'll going down the line of chain of command for who gets to go when.
Okay. Yeah. Journey to Ragnarok does have some simple ship mechanics, but mostly it's just Viking longship things, rowing and building. So nothing as complicated as you just talked about, but that does seem like a good idea, having just a ship versus monster, a ship versus other ship initiative.
Yeah.
Because one of the things in 5e is action economy is heavily weighed in the player's favor. So if you have so many initiatives before your monster even gets to attack, I mean, what was the point of that encounter anyways? If
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, I can understand that. And then how do you do surprise attacks in your game?
So I do a mix of the official 5e way and some narrative. Um, Usually, if uh, like we'll take my session I did last week where Lars, our barbarian, just turned around and smacked an orc in the back with a chair. I just let him do that, and I let the rest of the players get an action on them before I started rolling. How I usually do surprise rounds, if it's more of like a dungeon or an encounter type thing, is the player's passive perception goes against monsters' stealth rolls, and if the monsters get a higher perception roll than the character's stealth roll, the monsters will get a surprise round, and vice versa if the party is, sneaking somewhere. And I think in your chat, DM Robo messaged Ghosts of Saltmark has ship mechanics.
Yes, we were just talking about that and saying how I'm trying to blend those with other ones that I'm finding online to kind of tailor it to my style of DMing. The ones in Ghost of Saltmarsh are a good place to start for sure.
And I don't know if you've read it yet, the Dragon Heist book
No,
by
I
them.
haven't.
Dragon Heist has some cool. It actually has a submarine
Oh,
in it.
wow.
Yeah, it has the Red October that you can get inside and mess around with.
That's an interesting name. Um, So I'm trying to figure out what other foliage to put in here. So I do have, well, I don't want to just lay about down a bunch of fruit. Um, but in terms of like flowers, let's see, let's add one more palette here. Let's see what else we got.
This is turning out awesome.
Yeah, and this is kind of the way I think to do it as like the base layer and then start building your layers on top of that.
Mhm.
Um, for me, monsters and where I put the heroes is absolutely last. I'd rather have an idea of what my terrain is going to look like.
Mhm.
That way, I can figure, like, okay, well, if these are native monsters, they're going to know the layout of this area. Um, and they're going to know where the vantage points are versus where your party who's stumbled across this area may not know exactly what they're going to find around the next corner.
Mhm. And does Arkenforge have dynamic lighting?
It does.
Nice.
So what we can do is, since this is a tropical area, let's find some psychedelic looking foliage and we'll go ahead and put that in various areas. Let's see.
And these are 5 foot squares, correct?
They are. So these would be
Okay.
very tiny little shrubbies.
Yeah. This is a huge beach.
Yeah, and that's when you make maps available for people to use online, I like to give them a big enough area that they can make it into whatever they want it to be. So
Mhm.
I left kind of a clearing right here, so if their party wants to set up a camp, they could potentially do it there or on the beach.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's one of the issues that we had on our stream last night is one of the maps I bought from Roll20 is the map is just humongous. And there was a big scaling issue that we just couldn't figure out. And it was already in the middle of the stream.
yeah, that can that could be part of partially, the map maker had a very specific scale that they were working with. And there are a few tips and tricks to avoid that, which I can, after I share this, I'm more than happy to either put in the description or, share with you on Discord.
Cool. Do you think Arc and Forge is what most map makers use when they sell their products, like on DM's Guild or some of the
Um,
map making Facebook groups?
I'm not sure. I know that some people use good old Photoshop. Other people use like there's a large plethora of map making, um, different you know programs out there. So it's hard for me to say what people are using and what they are or not. So it could be Ink and Art, it could be Arc and Forge, it could be Dungeon Painter Studio. But as long as they're making the stuff available and they're putting it out there for people to find and to use, I'm totally all about that. I love when people in the community share and make things available for everyone.
Oh, you mean the flowers glow?
Yeah, because now
That's
if it
awesome.
was nighttime,
Oh, that's pretty.
yeah, but we're gonna affect the lighting a little bit more. So you can see that some of the trees have it where the light is casting around it. So I need to go in and just turn that on for everything. And you can also, disable that very quickly in game by just toggling it off or even hiding it from your player's view if you wanted. So maybe those are or bushes that only come out at night. Who knows? So it's up to you all to decide. Um, but yeah, let me go ahead and readjust all of these guys. So, with your guys' campaign, I was catching an Alice in Wonderland vibe. Um, Most definitely.
Yeah, Out of the Abyss has always given me an Alice in Wonderland vibe, and I just didn't know where I wanted to put that vibe at in the module. And I figured when the party is chasing an elusive messenger and he's always late for his appointments, I mean, that screamed the White Rabbit to me. And I was like, you know what? What better time than now? And so we're currently in a mega dungeon called the Whirlstone Tunnels. And I'm going to add in Alice in Wonderland stuff all over it over the next few sessions because I'm expecting them to be in those tunnels for at least 3 sessions. So it's going to be fun. I always love to take pop culture or some older literature and add them into my campaigns just as flavor.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That does make it um, more interesting for sure. Because, I mean, also, there's, depending on who your audience is, they may catch a reference that a younger viewer might not. So there's that little Easter egg for them as well in there.
Yeah. And anytime I can add Disney into my games, I do so. I'm a huge Disney fan.
Yes, Disney is has always had a special place in my heart as well. I think we need some ferns. I don't know. How do you feel about ferns?
I don't. Do ferns grow on the beach? I have no clue.
I was just thinking jungle. I don't know. But I think we need to flush it out with some rocks and some, like we were saying, the other debris as well. And I think I'm also going to build this up over here and kind of make a protruding rocky outcrop over in this area.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And one way I've figured out how to do that easily is to make the quote unquote big, the rocks that are going to be higher up bigger, and then just kind of work my way down with layering them. And that usually gives it a nice little 3D effect.
Okay. I need to see this in person.
I first figured out how to do this kind of where when I was trying to do a waterfall, and I was like, okay, well, I want to show, that there's a height difference here. It's changing. What is going to be the easiest way to do that for me? And I was like, oh, well, why don't we just make things that are bigger on top and make them smaller as we go down? And that seemed to work pretty good. So now I have my biggest point right here. Um, and then so we're just going to work our way down this way. But I'm going to go backwards so that the layering works correctly.
That looks pretty awesome so far.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to share the process with somebody for sure and get some different input on it.
How
So,
long have you been running Ark and Forge?
um, I've been using it for probably 6 months now. Um, and I've started doing my own campaign, probably around that much time as well because I started just making these just for my players and me.
Hmm.
Um, and luckily, we had always been playing online, so when COVID happened, it wasn't really an issue for us in terms of making the leap to playing online.
Nice. What brought you over to Twitch originally?
So I actually was looking for a way to do a project for school. I currently am a nursing student, and I was looking into the research that supports that D&D is actually a very good therapy tool. It's great for people that have anxiety, depression, also children that are on this autism spectrum. It gives them a safe, and with that, it would be a higher functioning on the autism spectrum. But it gives them a great and safe space in order to explore, like, well, how would people react to me if I acted this way? Or
Hmm.
what are ways where I can express myself and feel safe right now when I'm really upset about something else. This character might allow me to act out those feelings I'm having. So I did a lot of research about that, and we needed to do some community service. So I looked into doing a stream in order to fulfill that for my school.
Nice. Yeah, I used to do an after-school program where I lived at in Killeen, Texas, where I'd go to schools and help teach kids how to play D&D with a few other people. It was actually really fun. And some of the kids that played in our campaigns had higher math grades, higher English and literature grades. And it was just really fun to introduce new players to the game.
Definitely. When you see that little like the light bulb in their head or like the excitement that they get, like it's so rewarding to
Yeah.
to see that. That's my favorite part is when like your players are finally like they're super excited to actually like go on whatever quest that your party needs to go on, and
Hmm.
they've spent time like thinking about it or doing different things to get ready for it.
Yeah. I can't wait until my kids get involved in Dungeons and Dragons. I have a 6 and a 7 year old, and they're more interested in Minecraft and Roblox right now. I feel like a boomer when I say this, but I don't really understand either of those games. So
You're okay. I'm in that same boat right now.
I would love
um,
for them to get interested in Dungeons and Dragons or, anything really.
have you? They actually do have some modules for kids. Have you ever thought about trying to just expose them to it?
I have exposed them to it and like a few kid modules I found on DM's Guild, and they were just really more interested in playing with the dice, which, even some adults are more interested in playing with the dice. So,
It's not like any of us are dice dragons or anything.
yeah, I am definitely a little dice goblin. If I find a set, I will buy 600 sets of it. I own a lot.
I would definitely buy more if I could, but my other half is definitely great at like well, do you really need another set of dice? And usually my answer is yes, but he can sometimes help with that. Somebody's called us the boomer.
Yeah.
Hey, something about the 90s. I mean, also, I hate to say it, but, magic is definitely was my gateway into learning that I was a nerd. So,
I think I played Dungeons and Dragons before I played Magic, but I definitely played a lot of Magic as a teenager. And when I became an adult, I found out just how expensive it was.
when you no longer got them as birthday presents or
Yeah.
from people.
Give me 1 second,
No
please.
worries. How about you, Chad? Did you ever play with Magic, or did you go straight into Dungeons and Dragons? And there's no right or wrong answer. Yeah, like the card game, or I know they now have the digital version that you can play as well.
I'm back.
Oh, no worries. Okay, so we got rock feature over here. We got. I feel like some of these trees need to be bigger though. The size of them is throwing me off just a teeny bit. Um, when I first started using Arkenforge, my players were having a hard time distinguishing between what was a bush and what was a tree. So I had to give them an example of both, and then they've done a little bit better since then.
Nice. Yeah, I'm using a lot of theater of the mind in my campaign right now because Roll20 doesn't really have some of the maps you buy from them doesn't really give you, rocks and bushes and the exact height of things. So,
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with Theater of the Mind. My group, I have my original cast is all men, and they have a, a lot of a harder time concentrating if I don't have something for them to look at. So that's why I went ahead and went with building my own maps because I was like, what, these guys they need something because
yeah,
unfortunately with this day and age it's very easy to pick up your phone and get distracted.
yeah. At my in-person games, I try to ban cell phones, but that doesn't really work that well.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely see that. It's easier for players to just kind of have it off camera now that we're
Yeah.
online. So
One thing that I really enjoy doing so people stop talking each other is I have like two stuffed animals that I'll take to my in-game sessions. One's Cthulhu and the other's a big giant red D20. And I'll be like, you have to be holding this stuffed animal if you want to talk. And so I'll have them pass it around the table. And if they want to talk, they have to be holding the stuffed animal. And that stops people from jumping on each other's, toes. And it generally keeps the table quiet. So it's been a really good tool for me to use.
yeah, that's kind of like the rain stick or the those tools that we learn in early preschool.
Yep.
They definitely still help out. I think I'm gonna do. So what I'm trying to do right now is a shipwrecked boat,
Okay.
and we're gonna put it partially underwater.
The people in that life raft probably does not have a good day.
Nope, I would imagine not. Um, I could I could I don't know what would have happened to them.
Well, I guess this can be our first segue of the Kraken. Their ship was attacked by the Kraken and their lifeboat badly damaged. And after many days at sea, having to constantly take water out of their life raft, they finally crashed on this jungle beach.
All right, that sounds good.
It's a lot better than starting off the campaign where everybody meets in a bar and they already know each other.
Yeah, so one thing I'm still waiting for my party to explain, not just to me, but like people that have been watching our campaign, is why they're all working together. I don't think it was ever really hashed out like, oh, hey, like come, we're gonna adventure together. Like there was none of that. It was just like, um, they all were outside of this town and they just started randomly just going places with each other. I was like, so are you guys friends? Like,
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only person with that problem.
I mean, I'm happy it wasn't a lot of like, you there, good sir, why don't you join me in an adventure? Like, that would have been really dry, but at least it would have been something. So
Yeah.
I'm halfway between happy that didn't happen and still a little confused.
And we've had 3 players die in our first 5 sessions. So I'm just like, well, we have 3 new players. Why would they want to party up with this group of uh, they're escaped slaves right now, but I mean, to me, they're still my little murder hobos.
It's
Yeah, why
so
would they
cute
want
that
to?
you affectionately called him that.
Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff, but when they do bad stuff very well.
Huh.
And you're just dragging like a piece of the ocean tiles over the boat.
Yeah, I'm just kind of trying to fill it in a little bit so that it doesn't like so I left that black border right there so we have
Mhm.
it looks like it's been chomped out of there.
Oh, nice.
And then one of the things that I'm noticing is that I'm having to like kind of move the boat around a little bit because it wants to since we're building on top of an object, it's trying to take the tile and like, oh no, this is an object too, right? So it's it's putting it underneath instead of on top. But that's okay.
So now that our adventurers have made it to the beach seemingly unscathed, what's their next encounter on this beach?
Huh. I mean, could it be that there is a native species here? Or, um, is this an island that a wizard has set up a home on? And I think, it's really hard for me to pick truly, like, I know what I would use it for. Um, but, you know, if you were to use this map, what would you use it for?
I don't think I would do a really lethal combat encounter here. Maybe I could use this map as, a more fun encounter. There could be a little shipwreck 20 feet out, and there could be 2 sirens out there having a singing contest, and the party gets enthralled to be the judges, and whoever loses gets eaten, type thing. It could be a little funny encounter. I love balancing funny encounters in with some of the more serious ones to kind of take the edge off and make it a little less serious.
I agree. I'm even just throwing this little skeleton and shovel in, so if, maybe there's buried treasure. Who
You could
knows?
put an X right there.
Okay, so we got that. Oh, and then we wanted to do the back end of the boat submerged as well. So also, like, like it's also what time period would this be? I think is a good thing to think about because, like, I know what I would find on an island now, but is that
You know?
necessarily going to be the same things that you would see um, on island whenever the time period of this was?
Yeah. I love low fantasy games. Unfortunately, not a lot of people share that sentiment with me. So if it were me and everybody was playing the same kind of games I like, it would probably have a native Aborigine species on it, probably human of some kind, but never seen anything advanced, or they've lived on this island their entire lives, or something like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting to do. I mean, we have, there are still a few tribes that are like that nowadays. So that could feasibly, you know, be a thing.
Yeah, but if it was in one of my typical high fantasy games, it'd probably be like overran with goblins or a bunch of kobolds that worship a dragon that lives in a volcano on the island or something.
Oh, and the Nat 30 has joined us in chat.
Hello, Nat 30s.
Let's see. And then again, this is me doing the different gradient to kind of show, that the boat is sticking out of the water
Yeah,
to different degrees. So there we
and you're a pro at this.
go. I try. This has been many hours of cursing uh, the computer uh, and not getting the technique I want. And then, luckily, the community that uses ArcandForge are very nice. And if you have a problem or question, the Discord channel is amazing at getting back to you um, with different suggestions.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, I think we need like a sail out here. And then what else do you think we could use on here?
Mm,
I mean, I pretty much anything. I think maybe some like crates floating in the
yeah,
water.
some crates and barrels,
Let's go ahead. And
maybe like
then
a little bit further out, a tiny coral reef.
bits and pieces of the broken ship. And then like, I have a couple different options for the sail. Um, I don't know if you can see them at the bottom. So, like, some of them even have like greenish algae growing on it.
Oh, nice.
Um, would you think this is a recent or older?
Recent.
Recent? Okay.
Yeah. And DM Robo suggested we also put waves in the water. I think that's
Yeah,
probably a good idea.
I agree. I am going to add that very, very last because sometimes when you add that in, it can affect my computer's ability to want to stay awake.
Okay.
So we'll add those in at the very, very, very end. I just don't want to crash out on you guys. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to select that all and lock it so that I can no longer drag anything that we've already placed. Okay. Yeah, the animation that you're able to add in is really cool. I do like adding that in. And I also have with the kit that I got the mast and the broken pieces from. I also have like foam and sea spray, so
Hmm.
that would be nice to add in around that to for when the waves crash.
Oh, wow. And so, in addition to make these awesome maps and being able to make them move, you can place monsters and player tokens on here,
Yep. Yeah.
and nice.
You're able to. They're still finalizing the token creator that they're going to include with the master toolkit. Um,
Mhm.
but once that's done, then you'll be able to do it right in game or in the program. But there are several other free ways of making your own tokens. So I use that. I also found somebody that had already uploaded all of the images of monsters from the player's handbook and made them into tokens already. But the downside is that they are all in Portuguese. So
Oh, geez.
I'm
Gotta
not able
learn
to,
that Portuguese.
yeah, I'm not able to just search for the monster I want. I usually find it by picture, so it's a little bit of a matching game for me.
Yeah.
What is a go-to monster that you like to throw at your beginner parties?
I love throwing a bunch of kobolds at my party, maybe 10 or 20 at a time. They're a quarter CR creature with 4 or 5 health, but they're just so deadly in big numbers. And it's fun to just have these maniacal little kobolds mop the party at, just low levels. And even though the bard or the wizard can kill one with like a staff or a knife in one hit, but I love it. One of my other monsters I love throwing at my party once they're a little bit higher level is the Rust monster. Um, and it's a really fun monster because if it hits you, it turns whatever mundane, non magical weapons or armor you're wearing into rust and it just dissolves on you. So if you think your party's getting a little bit too OP with their plate mail and their long swords, you can just take that away from them with one simple monster.
See, that's terrifying. I would not enjoy that.
I got some boxes, some crates submerged in the sand.
Yep, just a little bit there. Just give it some realism that even if, it was there for a short period of time, nature tries to reclaim all, so. And we'll do the same thing with the some water there.
And you're up in Oregon, right?
I am.
Okay. I used to live in Oregon when I was a teenager. It was really nice up there. It rained every single day I lived there, but it was nice.
Every day?
Almost every day, yeah. I think the only day it didn't rain, it snowed.
Oh, well, we're getting 100-degree weather now, so.
That sounds awful.
Yeah,
Uh,
especially
I,
because no place has an AC unit built in.
oh,
So
yeah. Yeah, I used to live in a little city called McMinnville.
I know where that is. But it is.
And do you have any real life groups that you play with?
No, unfortunately. So our players are all spread out. I have a player from California. I have players from down in Eugene. Myself and my husband are farther north, like the Portland area. I would love to do like I know there's a couple shops that before COVID happened that I was like kind of like, hey, like are you looking for any DMs, and but unfortunately with everything going on right now, that just wasn't really possible.
Oh
So
yeah, everything put a big damper on fun in general.
it's weird. It's like, we used to be like, oh God, I'd love to just stay home, and now we're like, can we can we
Yeah.
do anything but stay home, please?
Yeah, we're under a severe heat advisory here in Texas right now, so I'm kind of happy that I'm staying in my house because it's just oppressive outside. But also, I'd love to go do things.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, that might be fun to do. Crazy fountain just out in the middle of nowhere, but again, that's going more in the realm of like this. We have a specific plan for this map.
Yeah.
Trying to see if there's maybe some rope. That's not rope, that is chain. No. Let's see, what else do we have? So we have stuff for like doing campsites.
You have some rum barrels.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
have,
thought I have them in the other direction, but I don't think I actually added them in. Because I was using more of these for like if they're sideways barrels that still will say it on there.
mhm.
But I think I was using these ones specifically for like inside of a ship storage. Corpses. Let's see, what else could we put in here? Ooh, maybe like a wooden cross like over here
Oh
because
yeah,
they buried somebody that already died.
that'd be awesome. Do you have a cross? It looks like just coffins.
Oh, I have a whole graveyard pack that I can add
Oh,
in.
nice.
Oh, right. I like that idea to write like SOS or help.
Yeah,
But how would they see that? Because they don't. I mean, I guess they could be. Somebody could be riding a dragon over
yeah.
the island. Oh yeah, and this is where all of my corpses are that I have. Ooh, we should do this one just like floating out in the water.
Oh, that would look awesome.
I just have to remember to make them bigger because, technically, when you're laying down, at least for me, I think when you're laying down, you take up 2 squares.
Yeah, you're longer than 5 feet,
Yeah.
unless you're like a halfling or something.
Okay. Do we want to put any like actual dead people up on the sand? That
Yeah,
one's like no
we can
skin.
put a few. Put the yellow guy, the yellow robe,
Okay.
sprawled out.
Half in the water, half out.
Yep. He got washed ashore.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, what else do we have? If these ones I actually used in a temple, the temple that the party will be going to soon. They'll have charred bodies.
Do you play any other RPGs?
Not at the moment. We are thinking about doing a one shot of The Expanse. I was given that book as a early birthday present, so I've been thumbing through it and looking at it. Um, I definitely am more into fantasy than
Mhm.
sci-fi, so I'm putting a lot of energy into my homebrew right now, so it's a little hard for me to find the motivation um,
Yeah.
to want to do other ones. Fish. Oh yeah, there's our sea creatures. And graves.
Um, Probably in the very, very top right corner, just out of view, you can put a tentacle.
A tentacle. Just one
Yeah.
tentacle popping up out of.
Yep.
Let's see if I have a single. I have an eel, a cuttlefish, a fish
I thought
organ.
I thought one of the first ones looked kind of like a tentacle.
Oh, those are all like cuttlefish, and then this
Uh,
one is an eel.
you know what? Could have been a giant cuttlefish that attacked the boat.
That is true too. There's an octopus too, so the whole kraken idea, we can just have his head popping out of the water over in the distance.
Sure.
And I really want to like design an underwater battle.
Oh, same.
I haven't had the opportunity to, but I would really like to.
Yeah, there you can't really use the fifth edition rules for underwater combat because they would really muddle up the campaign. You'd have to kind of use the rule of cool if you did an underwater campaign, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's a little. Here we go. There's a wooden. Where do we want to put that? Right around there?
Yeah,
And then I have.
a little mound.
Mm-hmm. And we'll just change the color of it to match the sand the best we can. I just saw it a second ago. It's not coffins. Where is it?
Maybe it was in graves.
I think it was graves. Yes, there we go. Probably that one will be the closest.
And it's gotta suck to be buried on the beach because eventually you
Oh
just get
yeah,
washed back up.
yeah. I mean, like that's purely temporary. I don't I don't think that's fooling anybody in terms of like the permanent. I mean, like you want to do something for them. So let's see.
Yeah, there's a few other games than D&D I would like to try out. D&D is the most popular, and you're more likely to get, more followers and more people in your game if you just play D&D. But um, that movie Alien and Aliens, it just got an RPG recently that looks really fun, and I'd love to try like a horror themed RPG on the Alien system. And then like Shadowrun is a really fun system. The Call of Cthulhu. There's a lot I'd love to do. It's just trying to find people interested in it is the hard part.
Yeah, I can understand that. I think I need to make this barrel bigger because that just looks funny underneath the seagull. There we go.
I didn't get a seagull butt
I know. I'm like, oh, but it's like I feel like the map needs to be like you're looking at the scene versus like I
above
haven't
it.
figured out how to do anything but top down, but I'm okay with top down. It makes sense for me. So, oh, I guess it could. Well, yeah, I guess that could be like if it was doing like a little duck dive,
Hmm.
trying to get something underneath the water. Oh, and I love putting seashells because I actually had a person um, that decided that they wanted to be a klepto and started going around and collecting every single thing. And
Ended up with thousands of seashells.
no, they ended up. That was my first almost player dying because
Wow.
they were in an underwater cave that happened to have a very mean old octopus living in it. A giant octopus that almost ate him before the party realized that he was missing. Okay. And as far as doing like an underwater coral reef, I think these would probably work pretty good. We just have to change the color of them a little bit and just do
Yeah.
like a little arc.
So what's the biggest map that you've made so far?
Um, Honestly, I think the biggest one I've done is the one I'm using for my at sea travel.
Hmm.
Um, because I have two different scenarios. I have like a calm sea and I have a like a stormy sea. So it's two larger areas that I can just drop the ship into and then put monsters in as well. So
I don't know if you've seen people do those like 24-hour gaming streams. Have you ever thought of doing a 24-hour map making stream where you just make an
maps
ultra
and
big,
maps.
hyper detailed map?
I'd love to, but I am not a night owl by any means. So I probably would have issues staying awake for that long. Um, so it's that would be my challenge. And also, I mean, I would love to do that more for like players because I think like a campaign would be more interesting to watch than just me building maps for 24 hours.
Yeah. You could always do a single D&D game for 24 hours.
Ooh. I've seen a couple. Some of them go very well. Others, by the end of it, the people are so delirious and like they're like, okay, what are we doing now? And I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
kind of lost the fun of it a little bit there.
Do from level 1 to level 20 in 24 hours.
Oh my god, that would be nuts. I don't know if I would be the DM to do that because I'm also fairly inexperienced. Because this is not only did I homebrew this, but this is also my first time being a DM, other than just doing
Okay.
a one shot. I kind of just jumped in and was like, okay, well, I'm a DM now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am always the DM, never a player. I recently got to play in one of my friends' games. We were doing the 5th edition module Dragon of Icefire Peak, and I got to play a halfling ranger. Animal companion was a wolf, and it was just really fun to finally get to play and just mess around as a halfling of great renown.
Yeah, I currently have the Nat 30s as a guest player on my campaign right now, and it's fun. Not only is it a good way to fill out like if you have a seat empty and instead of you having to roleplay that character, it's nice to bring somebody else in and kind of come up with an excuse why that one player isn't there. So yeah, it's definitely fun to bring in some different people because it also brings in different ideas.
Hmm.
So it I like it for that too.
Yeah, my friend in the chat, Fiscus K9, is also he's the guy that ran the campaign, and we do it. We were doing it on Discord actually every other Sunday, same as you guys, and it was completely theater of the mind, no maps, no dice, no nothing, and it was a really fun campaign.
So do your players use D&D Beyond?
They do, yes, and we have the D&D Beyond extension for Twitch, which works half the time. I'm noticing.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, like where it doesn't actually update your player's condition or
Yeah,
their health.
I think you have to update it before every session, or there
Oh.
might be some kind of because last night I updated it. It still had my three dead characters in it, and I had to update it to add in the three new ones. So that was happening, and I think there might be a check mark that I had to check to make it upload continuously. Because that's another thing is people love to see the characters in games.
Yeah, it's I think that's nice because also then you don't have to constantly like have a moderator or you don't have to stop as the DM to constantly be like telling people like, okay, this is their class, their race, this is what level they are,
Yeah.
um, or any of that. So, uh, there we go. So we got that help in there for
It looks awesome.
one of our viewers, and I lost it during a game because I realized that I have this nifty little compass tool that
Hmm.
lets me change the direction of things.
Oh,
And I
nice.
didn't know that, so I was like, I saw that, I'm like, like literally stopped playing the game and like
Hmm.
nerded out for a second, just like turning the map around. Um, but it's nice too because now I have a compass that I can actually put in with the ship. So I'll put it like near where the helm is, but big enough that you don't have to zoom all the way in to see it. And it's always pointed towards true north. So I can change the direction of the map, but based on the how the compass is changed, it kind of gives the players that feeling of the direction of the travel is changed. All right. So what else do we want to put in here? Are we good?
I think we can do the waves and then we're
Yeah.
good.
Let's do it. Okay. This is gonna be a little funky because I've never done like kind of like the partial wave thing. So we'll see how well it works. And we go all the way up to effects. Water. They do give you a couple different like wave like options. Like I always feel like this one's like, oh, it's really stormy. Yeah, this is kind of more tranquil. So we'll see if this works. I'm hoping it will.
And do you just add a mask on where you want it to come, or?
So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing something called polygon placement. So I'm literally just like setting up the points for where it will touch.
Okay.
Um, but the only
And
thing,
is that going to cause any issues with your other layers on the water, like the seagulls or the boat?
no, it shouldn't because what I'm gonna do is it's putting it down as terrain, so it's gonna go underneath everything else.
Okay.
Um, but the only thing is sometimes when I do it in these bigger areas, so if you like cross back over it, um, it affects it affects how it's being placed. So I'm trying to be very very gentle with how I'm putting these dots down and kind of like skirting around the guy here. And then also you can affect the transparency of it so it's barely visible and it gives it a really cool. I'll let it load in first and then I'll do that.
Okay.
So if you scroll in now, you can see the movement of the water. It's not so much when you're up close.
Oh, yeah, I
So
can see
yeah.
that. That's awesome.
So what I also do with that is I'll just grab it. And so that was the other thing is you have to make sure that your layers underneath are locked first because trying to grab just that layer, unfortunately, like there's no list of layers, so you can't
Hmm.
go in that way. Um, it, it's nearly impossible to find it
Yeah.
if you didn't have everything locked already. And that way it's a little bit more visible. But we also said that this was, I need to change the direction of it because I feel like it should be flowing more towards the island as well. And you can adjust that. There we go. I feel like that's flowing in the right direction. And then I think there are some actual waves too. Wave breaks. So,
Is there a way to make the waves more pronounced? Because I feel like most people watch Twitch on their cell phones nowadays, so if they're staring at a smaller screen, it might be hard for them to see the waves moving like that.
so I just added these ones in. They're
Mhm.
bigger ones, so they'll be a little bit more pronounced.
Okay.
But try not to make it so much like a tidal wave. But yeah, so that's the only way I've figured out just by putting a couple of those in kind of, will increase that realism of there's waves coming in.
Yeah.
And if you think about it at the ocean anyways, like it's not one continuous wave coming in along the entire coast. It's multiple
Right.
breaking waves. So,
Uh, who knows? This world could have like 5 or 6 moons, and the waves come in more frequent.
oh, what was that movie where they were going so like somebody else had just landed on the island, like literally on the planet, and but because of how time worked there, they got there like literally moments after the spacecraft had been destroyed, and they couldn't figure out what had happened. But it turned out that like the entire planet had this tidal wave just going around it.
Gee, I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
it was a crazy movie, obviously. I think that came out like 2 or 3 years ago.
I'll do a Google search for it later.
Do you remember the old school D&D movies?
I do, yeah. Um, I like a year or two ago, I rewatched all the little cartoons, which are hilarious. But I also remember the D&D movies with the Wayne brothers in it, and were just awful.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember watching because I think I watched those in the late '90s, early 2000s, and like I was like, oh my god, this is so cool, and like that also kind of helped reignite my wanting to play D&D. So yeah, I don't know, those were they were cheesy, but like getting to see like a beholder on a
Yeah.
movie was kind of interesting. So
It'd be pretty awesome if they came out with like an actual D&D movie that was like fully budgeted, had like great CGI and graphics and a great storyline. Um, the new game they're coming out with, um, someone can mention in chat probably before I remember what it's called. They just mentioned it lately. What is it? Hmm. Oh yeah, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. They had a trailer for that a few months ago, and it looked amazing. I'm really excited for it. It follows some of the Legends of Drizzt books and has a lot of stuff from the R.A. Salvatore novels in it. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty good game, so I'm excited to buy it and play it.
yeah, that does sound like it is going to be a pretty interesting one. I'm trying to see. I have some of these, but I think that's going to be a little bit more cumbersome than I want it to be to go around and just place those. It's supposed to be like a border between, different waves and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to look a little wonky. So, yeah. Alrighty. Well, there we go. We got ourselves a little uh, beachfront battle map.
Awesome.
So I'm going to go ahead and upload this to Arkenforge's community site, which is free to access, and it will be free to download. Um, you can use it with Roll20. Again, I did make all these the grid, and each of these represents a 5 foot square. So I think I'm not too familiar with anything how you need to input it on there. Maybe you could explain that process a little bit better than I could. Um, but yeah, if you were to do it on Arkenforge, you just import it as a media file.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the free version of Arkenforge on my computer. I can probably import it and maybe mess around with it or look at the different layers and how you did everything.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and the other thing we can do too is we can add in sound, which you'll be able to. That's another thing that I don't know if Roll20 includes it, but something that I love is that you have a license to use all of these sounds while you're playing. So here we go. We have a battle sea sound, which should come up in a minute, which you can also add different options here and change it. You can also, by changing any of that, you end up remastering it to make it your own. So you're able to save that as well.
Oh yeah, I hear the people falling into the water in the fight. That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, so now we could have that playing in the background while they're getting into combat somewhere. So,
Awesome. And
um,
when you can change the sounds based on if it's day or night. That's interesting.
yeah, so if you want to have a pre-set up one, let's say like, um, we'll just do camp daytime
Hmm.
and camp nighttime. So let me turn off the other one that I have on, and we can play around with that. And I think that activates in Soundscape. So yep, so it went ahead and sounds like it started playing some music for me. And this is like how I use everything. Oh, yep, and there it started playing the night one.
Okay. I think I can hear it now. Yep.
Yeah, and this is where I control everything. So this is what I essentially see when I'm running session is I have the ability
Hmm.
to change the time of day real quick right here, and it takes it through different colors of the day too. So it goes, all the way from twilight to dusk.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing I like about this is it also has a journal. So these are essentially like my quests that I put in for them. So like clearing the supply tunnel, um, I can have that ready to go. It pops it right here, and then I closed it. So it'll pop up like what the objective is for the party, and the party can't see this. This is all for you to see. So it's kind of to help you, like, oh, they did that. Let's check that off. They found the clue and they got the reward, and it also allows you to put in preset sounds, who the reward giver is, and if they're going to move on to another quest from that.
Oh wow, this is just like an MMORPG. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I really like it. It's a nice little touch. And I definitely try to use it as much as possible because it minimizes me having to go back and forth between where I have my notes and at least for some of it, I I know they are going to be editing it more where you can like actually put your campaign notes in. So I will be definitely utilizing that as soon as they do that, and then just dump it in there from OneNote, which is what I used to do all of my D&D stuff.
Nice.
Well, thank you for joining me for this map build today. That definitely made it a lot more interesting for me to have somebody to
Absolutely.
talk to. Um, and go ahead and plug yourself real quick for your next session.
Sure. Next session is going to be on Thursday, the 22nd, I believe. Pull up the calendar. Yeah. Thursday of next week between 6:30 and 9:30 on our Twitch. It's twitch.tv/TurboNerdsDnD. And we'll be continuing in the 5e module Out of the Abyss. Thank you so much, Ash, for having me on. And this was very interesting to learn all the ins and outs of Ark and Forge. It's an awesome program.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I'm more than happy to have you on again. It's been a pleasure just being able to talk with you. And you can catch me doing my D&D compendium next on Wednesdays and at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Fridays are always my map build days, and our next live session of the Rise of the Vampire King will be the 26th of July at 5:30 p.m. On my Twitch page, which is not awesome. Yeah, so thank you very much for those of you that stuck around. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.